right-hander. And for those of you who did not see anything of Contreras in the spring, you can see how much he lost. 30 pounds, looks like a different guy.
Well, he looks like his younger brother is what it amounts to.
Right, that's a good call.
Yeah.
The 1-0 pitch. And the count 2-0. Twins come in at 2-2. They're hitting so far in their 4 games, .219 on the season with a 4.25 team ERA. Is there you see one of the best in the business right there, Ron Gardenhire. And there's the strike.
Last thing you want to do is to walk Denard Span. I talked to Ron Gardenhire about the offense at the top, and he said even with Morneau hitting third, and he's moved up from fourth to third, he said we're still going to run. That's our game. Outfield
slightly to the left. The ball hit hard. Nice play by Getz. Yes! Beautiful play by Chris Getz. Mercy.
This is a one-hop rocket. Chris Getz to his right. He stabs this one and makes a good solid throw. That's just an outstanding effort. Good reflexes and a good enough arm to get a very speedy Denard Span.
Here's one of 3 switch hitters in this lineup. Lexi Casillas. Make no mistake about it. This old man can play a little bit.
Well, he wasn't playing quite the way Ron Gardenhire wanted him to play last spring training.
When they brought him up, though, he was.
Well, what happened was Gardy had talked to him a number of times about being careless in the infield and making plays where he would make jump throws and a number of other things. So what Gardy said to him was, we're going to send you down to the minor leagues, son, until you understand how the Twins play baseball. When they called him back, all of that showboating was gone, and in its place was a pretty good, solid second baseman.
Well, that's the way Minnesota does it. And that's the way our Sox are doing it, too. They now, with Kenny here, they will do the same thing. They will say, you don't want to do it our way, hit the highway.
Well, that's how you have to do it if you want to play as a team and if you want to beat some teams who might have a little better personnel than you have.
Well, this is there's good speed aboard. Casillas. In 98 games last year when they brought him up, he finished with 50 RBIs. Now that base on balls by Contreras, as Steve was talking about earlier when we were discussing Contreras in one of our telecasts, he said he was throwing the ball extremely well, but he was all over the place. Now, you can't do that with this ball club.
And also, he is fairly slow to home plate, and so expect the Twins to be running.
And here is Justin Morneau. Morneau last year hit 300, 23 homers, but he knocked in 129.
Well, don't forget, he was hitting in back of Joe Mauer, who was busy leading the league in hitting with an on-base percentage that was otherworldly.
Morneau, a powerful man. What's the word on Mauer?
Word on Mauer, Ron Gardenhire said that he's starting to do the things that he's going to have to do to get back on the field, and he says he's really looking good. He expects him back at the end of April, possibly the beginning of May. He hasn't run a great deal yet, but he's taken some batting practice and he's starting to catch. That's what they're missing. Joe Mauer, look at that on-base percentage, .399. He's led the league twice in hitting, and for a catcher, that's pretty much unbelievable.
Well, he's probably not done yet.
No.
One out there, you know, a good fake right there is a big hack by Morneau to even the count at 2. Well, you know, the thing about Minnesota is that we talked about it, making our predictions in spring training. This is a club that I think we have to beat. I think Minnesota, if they can play 500 baseball for the month of April without Mauer, they're going to be in the hunt.
Well, they're tailored to their ballpark, at least for this year. And that means tremendous speed in the outfield And they can cut them off in the alleys better than you can when you go to the Metrodome.
Little check swing. Nice pitch right there. Had him way off balance, way out front. And that is out number 2.
They decide to run Casillas here. And this is a good splitter. Morneau is completely fooled. He just reaches out, feels for this ball, and Casillas winds up at second. But there are 2 outs, and Jason Kubel, who's had a pretty good run at it against Jose Contreras, steps up. He's hitting .455 lifetime against him.
Well, there's 2 ways that Contreras can go about getting these Twins out, who last year hit .279, as I mentioned. To me, he's got to get the splitter over, show him he can get that thing over. Now, if that's not the case and he's missing it, the second option is he's got to be pinpoint with his fastball, and that's probably not going to happen.
Well, one of the reasons why Ron Gardenhire moved Morneau up to 3rd spot, which is something he hadn't done this year, and put Kubel in the 4th spot, these career numbers against him. Now you're facing him with first base open, so you don't have to give in to him because you've got right-handed Kadire up next.
Well, this guy at the plate right now has got a chance. For me, that's going to fall for a base hit, and that's going to score a run. So the walk will cross home plate, and it's 1-0 Minnesota. But Kubel's got a chance to be a monster.
Well, he's strong enough to muscle that ball into left field because he didn't have a particularly good swing. But when you're hitting .455 against any given pitcher, you get hits like this. This is a fastball that he hit off the end of the bat. In fact, he broke his bat and still able to loop it into left field. Kubel winds up at first base. That's RBI number 2 for him this year.
Against us, Minnesota, it seems like every time we walk somebody, they cross home plate. And it seems like every time, especially in the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning, we walk somebody, they are for sure going to cross home plate. Here's Kadire. Had a tough season last year with those injuries. 249, 3 homers, and drove in 36. He's 4 for 15 on the season this year. Here's one of the guys that's one of the core, one of the heart and souls of this Minnesota team.
Well, when he's in the outfield, and he started as a 3rd baseman, but he has one of the best arms around. In fact, the entire outfield all the way around, when they start Young and Gomez and Kadire, they're pretty good if that's the outfield.
And the count 2-0. This is a dangerous man when he's 2-0-3-1. He is what you call a good crip hitter.
And he's got very good power to right center field. And he pretty much knows a fastball is coming.
Little drop down. Catches the outside corner. That's a nice pitch on the 2-0 count.
A fastball in a fastball situation, but he caught the outside corner.
2 out and the 2-1. That's foul back. Joe Crede on deck. First of a 3-game set. Tomorrow afternoon it'll be Bartolo Colon against Francisco Liriano. Now that game will be over Fox, and then the finale of the series on Sunday. It'll be Mark Burley against Nick Blackburn in that game right back here on Comcast Sportsnet.
Another one of the injured Twins, Scott Baker, has started to throw, and they expect him back. He's their #1 starter. They expect him back in the not too distant future.
Way outside and a full count. One thing about it, we saw 3 good ones out on that bump for the Royals in that series. They pitched 20 innings and we got 1 run off their starters.
They lost today to the Yankees, but that's a vastly improved team.
There goes the one. And there's a souvenir right side. Well, for me, if you're going to play a 3-game series like that and you're going to lose 2 of the games, that's the way to do it. I'd much rather lose by scores of 2-0 and 2-1 rather than 10-9, 11-8, or 12-10.
Well, you save a whole lot of your bullpen.
Little nut around front. Take your time. You got plenty of time. And that'll do it. But the walk comes around to score A run after a half inning of play as the Twins won and the good guys coming to bat.
Starting lineup for the Sox. Chris Getz leading off with Josh Fields hitting second. Carlos Quinton hitting third. The middle of the order is Jim Thome, Jermaine Dye, and Paul Konerko. AJ hitting seventh with Alexi Ramirez eighth and Dwayne Wise hitting ninth. The Lowe's defensive setup and how they'll line up behind Dickey, left to right. Young, Span, and Kadire in the infield. Creedy, Punto, Casillas, and Morneau. Jose Morales behind the plate. And Dickey on the hill with the knuckleball.
Dickey, 34-year-old veteran, 6'2", 216 pounds. Last year with Seattle, 5-8, 5.21 ERA.
And Dickey throws a little bit harder knuckleball than most guys. Will throw it 90% of the time if he's getting it over.
Yeah, the guy who's had one of the hardest knucklers I've seen was Sparks. Steve Sparks. He threw hard knuckleball.
They're the numbers last season that Hawk told you about. That ERA mighty high at 5.21.
And the count goes full to Chris Getz, who is 2 for 12 on the season. That's flipped up into left center field. Oh, wow. What happened with that? That guy's a good outfielder, and he completely misjudged that with Delman Young.
I just think Hawk, he had to look up and lost that ball in the lights. It goes as E7. It's a two-base error. And he looks up, and the ball just takes off. He looks at his glove going, wait a second.
I don't. It didn't appear to me he lost it in lights because it was too high. I just think maybe the wind got it. Whatever, he just. Good for him.
That's what you're looking for. Got to have a little break every now and then. Now you'd like to see Josh Fields hit the ball to the right side and move along Getz.
That's the first error committed by the Twins so far this year. As Josh Fields, 3 for 7 on the season.
Knuckleball pitchers love to have the wind in their face. The ball just dances all over. Now the wind swirls here at U.S. Cellular Field, so it could very well be on one pitch the wind will be in his face, and on another pitch it might be to his back. If that's the case, that knuckleball is going to flatten out, or even worse for a knuckleball pitcher, it just starts to roll, and those are the ones that go a long way.
Indeed they do. And also, before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours. And right now, let's check out our Heineken picks to click. Mike Leary and John Walsh and our crew, they're going to go with Carlos Quinton. Steve and Lisa are going to go with Jim Thome. Joe Fusina. Steve Camp and I, we're going to go with AJ as he takes just a wild swing at that. One and two the count.
I talked with pitching coach Rick Anderson before the game about Dickey, and he said he can surprise you with his fastball. He said he can get up there 87 miles an hour, which is just under major league average.
Well, that's the way Sparks, that was his top out. About 86, 87.
And what Anderson says, it's easier to be a pitching coach for a knuckleballer because all he has to tell is the location of his hand to know when he's throwing it well, and you have to stay over the top of it because it's a stiff wrist pitch. If you get under it, it's not going to do anything except slide across.
Good check right there as that ball started out and it's dove away. But these guys have a good coaching staff, as we do.
And you see it again. He didn't get over the top of it, and it just came right across and up and out of the strike zone. He's fortunate that ball stayed out of the strike zone.
Payoff pitch.
You try to hit a knuckleball when it's up. But the knuckleball that finishes down, you really have no chance.
So Carlos Quinton will stand in.
Now, Hawk, I know you face knuckleballers. Is there any art to hitting them? I mean, what did you do?
As you say, there's 9,000 different philosophies on trying to hit a knuckleballer. I had pretty good success against knuckleballers, except for Hoyt Wilhelm. I went 1 for 6 years off him. And the only reason I got that base hit because Pete Ward was playing third. And I hit a little dribbler, he couldn't quite get to it. Didn't even reach the outfield grass as that pitches. I tried to hit the ball in the right, not back at him, but the ball to right center field. And you just called it perfectly because of the fact anything that started off the belt, you just automatically train yourself to lay off of.
Because you figure that one's dropping out of the strike
exactly. Zone. And wait for something to start off high, then you got a chance. I don't ever remember hitting a low knuckleball hard. But Hoyt, well, you know, Wilbur Wood had a good knuckleball. I had good success against Willie. And
you ever face either of the Necros?
Yeah, faced them both. But I faced also, I'll show you how old I am. I faced Phil before he had a knuckleball. I faced him when he was just sinker, slider, curve. He was meat.
That's why he developed the knuckleball.
Exactly.
Went to the Hall of Fame with it.
Exactly. The 2-1. Good eye right there by Carlos.
Well, as Jim Thome told me, and many hitters before him have told me the same thing, the saying against a knuckleballer is if you see it high, let it fly. If you see it low, let it go.
That's it.
Easier said than done, but that's the philosophy.
Well, that's the approach that you have to try to take up there. Big rip on the fastball, but we had Phil up here in the booth a few years ago, and another thing I did with the knuckleballer is I stood right on top of the plate and still tried to hit the ball to right center. And I asked Phil, I said, what's the worst thing that you hated with strong right-handed hitters who hit against you? He said, I hated for him to stand close to the plate. He said, I had to change my release point.
Well, also another factor is if the ball, which moves because there's no spin on it, and so the air will grab the seams and it'll move any which way, but if a guy's on top of the plate, you run a big risk of hitting him with it, and because it basically comes in at 68, 65, sometimes a little bit harder in the case of Dickey, but you don't want to be hitting too many guys with the knuckleball.
No, it doesn't hurt. That's ball 4. So 2 aboard. Well, let me ask you a question. Since after you hurt your arm, you had a terrific fastball prior to that, but when you had to become a breaking ball pitcher and you made that adjustment successfully, as evidenced by a Cy Young Award winner, did you hate to face strong right-handed hitters who stood right on top of the plate?
I didn't mind it all that much, to be honest with you. The guys that gave me problems were the left-handers that stood on top of the plate.
Not talking about right-handers.
Yeah, right-handers, nobody really bothered me much except for two guys. One you know very well, two you know very well. And they both were able to spread out, and they both took the ball the opposite way. One now works for us, Buddy Bell, who was terrific at it, and the other was Jim Rice, who just took it right back up the middle and hit it miles.
Most of the, as Tommy with a 1-0 count, checks it up, takes a strike. Most of the breaking ball right-handers that I've talked to about this in the past, including Don Drysdale, who for the most part was not known as a breaking ball hitter, but he had a good breaking ball. He did not like to face, nor did the others I talked to, strong right-hand hitters who stood on top of the plate, because it made them change and tighten up their release point. You just couldn't freewheel it.
Well, you also take a look and try to zone in on that outside corner, and the hitter takes it away from you. That was Frank Robinson's philosophy for years. Ask him why he stood on top of the plate. He said, I want to take the outside corner away from the pitcher.
Right. If the guy's standing on top of the plate, he wants the ball middle in. 1-2 the count to Tomey. So that is 2 strikeouts to go along with an error and a walk, and that'll bring up Jermaine Dye.
And here is the guy that kills R.A. Dickey. There's a knuckleball down. That ball bounced in front of the plate. Good stop by Jose Morales.
Well, that goes just to what you were saying. Tommy was talking to you about he was going to lay off the low knuckle balls. But as you said, it's easier said than done.
It goes out the window during the game.
And that's because Jermaine is what off Dickey?
6 for 10 with 2 home runs.
And is that the reason you took him?
No, I actually took Tomey, and I wanted to make a switch, but alas and alack, I stayed with Jim. My first
you did?
Instinct. Yes.
I already had you switched out for Dye. All right. Jermaine 5 for 12 on the season. And there's a little looper. Morneau racing over. He's got room, makes a nice catch, and that'll retire the side. So we catch a big break right there. Can't do anything. And after 1, it is 1-0 Quinton. A little base hit by Kugel.
The number 6 batter of the lineup, leading for Minnesota, the third baseman, number 24, Joe Creedy. I'm so lost without you. I know you were right, believing for so long. I'm all out of love. What am I without you? I can't be too.
That's pretty nice. These are appreciative fans of what Joe meant to this organization for a long time.
Wait till he hits a 3-run homer to beat us.
Well, it's not going to be the same type of reception he got there, but
Now, Joe is one of the best loved guys that I have ever seen on a ball club. Watch out. What would have been a big mistake and very unintentional if first pitch fastball had drilled Joe right in the back.
Yeah, that would leave a mark.
All right, it will tell you that he and Jose didn't get along as that ball hit into left field deep. And there's a 2-0 Minnesota lead. Yeah, here comes the boos.
Greedy had been struggling. He was 3 for 16, but he got a hold of the Contreras fastball. His first home run, his first run driven in. It's a Ford home run replay, and as you can see, this ball is low and in. Greedy looking fastball all the way, just opened up and took it out.
Delvin Young takes strike one. Young 0 for 7 on the season. And the count 0-2.
What Ron Gardner says is he's got 5 players for really 4 spots, including the designated hitter, and he's going to have to continue to move them around. It's Gomez's turn to sit down tonight. Span taking over in center field.
Ball and 2 strikes to the 23-year-old outfielder.
Well, we haven't seen it yet, but Jose came up with a cutter that he started working on before he tore his Achilles, and he used it pretty well in the spring.
The first day I saw him throw on the side, and I saw him throw the cutter, I said, my goodness, this is a different animal we're looking at.
Well, so far he has yet to break it out.
Right.
It's a real good pitch to Delman Young, who is less than selective with his strike zone.
It's even a better pitch to Morneau and Kubel. Yeah, I remember when I got traded from Boston to Cleveland, I came back to Fenway, and of course, in my first trip, same thing, they did for Creedy, fans standing up. I went 0 for 4 in that game, struck out a couple times, but every time they were still giving me an ovation. The next night, there's he gone. As you look at this high and away heater right here. Next night I hit a 3-run homer to beat him as I came around the base paths. It was one solid chorus of boo. Boo.
Yeah, they lost.
That's the way it was.
They lost that love for you quickly.
That's right. Jose Morales, he's also 0 for 7 on the season. Morales, the switch hitter, as is Casillas and Punto.
And he's going to split some time with Mike Redmond, who no sooner got the starting job with Mauer out than he hurt a groin muscle, but he's back now.
2-0 the count. Come back and get him, Jose. You don't want to walk anybody, especially the 8th and 9th place hitters. So the second walk issued by Contreras. The first one scored last inning if you're just tuning in.
AJ's going out to talk with Jose about finishing off his delivery. And he's probably warning him that Punto can and will bunt.
Punto last year, 284 hitter, a couple of homers, and he drove in 28. 1 for 7 on the season. These guys won a divisional title with Nick Punto, the everyday third baseman, a couple of years ago. he has been an invaluable member of this ball club.
Well, he can play just about anywhere. Has had very good numbers against Contreras, as you just saw. And if you have a guy who's basically a utility guy, although he's been a starter for Minnesota, what separates utility guys is the ability to play shortstop, and Punto can do that. In fact, they were talking about the double play combination of Punto and Casillas as being one of the better combinations in the league.
One out, one on. First of a 3-game set, and I'll tell you, for a cold night, and this is not chilly, this is a cold night, we have a nice crowd on hand. That's a can of corn. Two down. So this will bring up the center fielder, the leadoff hitter, Denard Span. He, along with Casillas, when they were called up, boy, they did a heck of a job. You know, between the two of them, they had 13 home runs and drove in 97.
Well, that's a productive twin farm system, and it continues to produce.
If you had a guy on first base who could run a lick, not that Morales can't run decent, this is a place that you would expect Gardy to put something on, so the Span, even if he got thrown out, would lead off next inning. Just a short lead. He's not going anywhere. Get over there. Yes, just, whoa, he must have missed a bag.
Well, unfortunately, that was the same play that he tore his Achilles tendon. And we'll watch it again as Ozzie goes out to argue with Ted Barrett. Now, Jose got there. The throw was there. Hard to tell from that angle. Let's watch this one. He beat him. Ted Barrett missed the call, it appears.
I still haven't been able to determine if that definitive. It appears he got it with his heel.
I thought he got it with his heel, but he gets charged E1.
Well, and you're right, that just is a little scary. Just thinking about Jose when he snapped that Achilles, going exactly the same kind of play. Want to know the count with 2 on, 2 out. Hopefully that will not jump up and bite us. 2-0.
Back on August 9th of last year, Jose threw 38 pitches, and here was the 38th. He goes over to make the play, and as you can see there, we didn't know it at the time, but as soon as he grabbed his foot, I figured it was an Achilles. That's exactly what happened, and he came back in record time.
Two balls and a strike. Outfielder short, bunched a little bit, swung around to the left. You cannot make a mistake against these Twins, as now Pauly's gonna, are they gonna come home with it as gets it back in. That's a nice stop right there by Chris Getz.
A tremendous play by Getz. It goes as a base hit, and I'm not too sure that he didn't have a play at first base. Well, you got to give up the body because you got a man at second.
He didn't think Paulie was going to beat Casillas to the bag.
Great effort right here by Getz. That's 2 sparkling plays early. And now the bases are loaded. And Morales has to put on the brakes.
Well, this is exactly where you do not want to see this guy.
It's very difficult against a lot of teams, but especially against the Twins, as well as they execute, to give them another out or 2 in an inning and expect to get out of that inning. But Jose's going to have to pitch doubly tough to the leading RBI man on this team by a long shot.
Takes ball 1. Well, the last 3 years, he's driven in 170 runs. Well, check that, 370 runs.
That's not too bad.
Right back, taking Lexi right to the bag, slowed up a little bit by Contreras, it appeared, and that'll retire the side. But the home run by Joe Creedy after an inning and a half, 2-0 Minnesota.
By John Danks. You saw Brian Anderson with a great catch. And that ball that Jim Thome hit was about as hard as you can hit a ball. As hard as he can hit a ball.
Well, that's about as hard as you can hit a ball.
Yeah. That went out by good 75 to 100 feet.
Here's Konerko, 2 for 9 on the series. Then he takes ball 1. That ball hit out there in the left center field deep. It is off the wall. There's a shot at second. Safe.
You're always gambling when you run on Delman Young, who did a nice job. And I think the break that the Sox got was that this ball hit off the track and then bounced straight up. If it came off the wall right to Young, he's going to throw Paul out at second base. But the idea of letting the ball get up and then taking advantage of it is exactly what Konerko did. You see that high bounce. Great effort by Young, who's got a very accurate and strong arm, but Paul beats it by an eyelash.
That'll bring up A.J. A.J. 2 for 10 on the season. And that's high and wide.
You would think that A.J. would have much the better of it against Dickey because he's 4 for 6 lifetime against him. So he probably doesn't mind his knuckleball.
As that ball popped up into left field. That's not going to get the job done. But it's out number 1.
Well, you'll get Joe Creedy talking it over with Jeff Cox at third base. Ron Gardner told me that Creedy made 2 spectacular plays in the homestand in Minnesota. They split the series with Seattle. But to give you an idea and a gauge of Creedy's health, he played in the day game after a night game and started all 4 games.
Alexei takes ball 1. Alexei looking for his first hit of the season. He's 0 for 10. Outfield about equidistant. Spread out. A big hack, no contact. Well, that was one of the first things that you thought about when you first heard about Creedy signing with Minnesota.
Was bad back, artificial surface.
Exactly.
Maybe it didn't really mix all that well.
In the past, it has not.
Joe said the only other team that really showed a lot of interest was San Francisco.
That's where I thought he was going. I understand that Aaron Rowan was doing everything he could. Everything that he possibly could to get them to sign Creedy.
Well, that is going to be an offensively challenged club most of this year. So they could have probably used Joe.
That's foul back. Yeah, I was talking to Dick Tidrow, who is one of the head honchos under the GM over there. He said he liked their pitching. He said he liked their club, but they were 1 hitter short.
Well, look, I certainly like Benji Molina as well as I like anybody. But when he's your cleanup hitter, you got a problem.
But you certainly could understand the spot that most GMs were in about contemplating signing Joe Creedy.
Well, there's no doubt about it. And from Creedy's standpoint, he knows that if he has a good year with Minnesota, not only will he be able to be a free agent, but they go to the natural surface next year, and they might want to keep him there.
And this ball 4. But Joe Creedy, as I said, I've never seen really. He reminds me so much of Robin Ventura in the fact of how he is loved by his teammates and how he was loved by his White Sox teammates. And you see the 125 home runs and the 422 RBIs. But for Joe, as we all know, it was not what he hit, it was when he hit it. He had a couple of 3 years there that he was as good a clutch hitter as anybody in the American League. And if he's healthy, that will return. And believe me, everybody in a White Sox uniform, everybody associated with the Airs, stay fair, foul, just foul, dadgummit.
That probably scores 2 if that ball hits inside the line. With Ted Barrett on the call, he turns around on this line drive, waiting to see which side of the line it would fall. The wrong side.
But everybody in a White Sox uniform, everybody associated with White Sox family, is really pulling hard for Joe Creedy to be successful. And the only thing will deter that would be another bad back situation. That ball hit high and deep, not deep enough. Paulie now is tagging and not going.
Well, that's not a real good base running play because you could see Kadire setting up And he set up early. I mean, he wasn't even on the track. And for some reason, Paul went halfway. Now, he just didn't read this real well, but right now he knows that Kadire is going to make the catch. And he's not going to be able to throw him out at third if he's tagging up. He chose not to.
So it's up to Chris Getz, who reached on an error, two-base error by Delman Young, as he takes downstairs ball one.
He's already turned in 2 sparkling defensive plays. It'd be nice to knock in the first Sox run.
Ball just diving down and in. Morales made that one look easy in the count 2-0.
Well, Jeff Cox is going to have to be careful because Delman Young has a cannon in left, same as Kadire in right. Span just adequate as a center fielder.
Well, you mentioned about Delman Young earlier, but Kadire the same. They both have good arms and they're both very accurate.
And when Gomez is in there, he has as good an arm as all of them.
And he gets to it a little quicker.
Yes.
Count 3-1. And that's ball 4. That'll bring up Josh Fields.
That's a third walk issued by Dickey and a good at bat by Getz. Refused to swing at anything out of the zone, and now you have Josh Fields, who was hitting in the 9th spot, elevated to the 2 spot as Ozzy's looking for some sort of combination that can produce some offense.
Josh, a strikeout victim. But that was with Getz at second, nobody out. He got caught right in between on that pitch that he struck out that knuckler down and away. As there's ball 1, don't help him out. Right now is not a bad time. Not a bad time just to sit on his fastball.
Well, it's not coming in there and it's not going to overpower you.
But if you're looking for that knuckler, it will. But there's the fastball now sent to center field. That's going to fall for a base hit. Here comes 1. Here comes 2. And this game is tied at 2.
Josh Fields hit it to the right guy. He hit it to Denard Span in center field. He's driven in 3 this year. And he got the fastball. Just as Hawk said, good time to sit on it. He did. And couldn't have hit it in a better spot.
Yeah, when you walk 3 and you get the sacks packed, and you've walked a couple this inning, and you get behind on the first pitch with a knuckler.
Just sit on 1 pitch.
That's
if
it.
you get the knuckleball, don't swing at it.
That's exactly right. Here is Carlos. He walked last inning. So a big 2-out clutch. 2 RBI single by Josh Fields. 2-3-1 for the Twinkies, 2-2-1 for our Sox. And you know, Steve, you being a pitcher and had some good pitching coaches, maybe 1 or 2 in particular. We have a tremendous pitching coach in Don Cooper. This guy right here, Rick Anderson, is good.
I think he's real good, and with him not having really dealt with a knuckleballer in the past, he's got to learn the idiosyncrasies of R.A. Dickey. And he talked about taking a look at his release point, knowing when he's falling out of that release point, not getting the ball over the plate. That's probably what he told him. Stay over the top of it, or you're not going to throw many strikes.
So Carlos with a 1-0 count. And he's got the catbird seat 2-0. Well, you know, you look at a Minnesota Twin pitcher. They have been categorized, so to speak, and Rick Anderson is used to having his guys come out and throw strike 1. If they walk 3, that's over 8 or 9 innings, or maybe 2 outings. Grady with the backhand goes to the bag, and that'll do it. But a big 2-run single by Josh Fields, and after 2, tied at 2.
Chance to get the best seats available for the April matchups against the Twins, the Blue Jays, and the Mariners. To purchase your 2009 individual game tickets, call 866-SOX-GAME or visit whitesox.com.
Jason Kubel takes outside, ball one. Kubel with a little flare, a little duck snort into left field for an RBI single in the first inning. As we were talking about in that first inning, Stone Pony, this guy's got a chance to be a monster.
Well, he's got big power, and last year he hit 20 home runs, drove in 78. He's got more power potential than that.
He just missed that one. That is a just missed it. 1 out. You can tell that wind is doing something because that's the second fly ball that JD is sort of staggered on right at the end.
This is a fastball right down the middle, and fortunately for Contreras and the Sox, Kubel got under it. Now, we've seen the ball fly out to left and left center, but we haven't seen it fly out to right yet.
There's ball one to Mike Kadire. Kubel last year. If there's a little chopper, AJ's got him. 2 down. That's what he did leading off last inning. First home run of the year. Drops down and takes strike one.
If you do drop down a right-handed pitcher to a right-hand hitter, you don't want to leave the ball over the inner portion of the plate, because if the hitter gives any ground, then that ball is right in his sweet spot, and that's what happened with Joe Creedy the first time.
Yeah, you know, when you're talking about dropping down, a right-hander dropping down and leaving it over the middle to the end, the right-handed hitter at that point instantly becomes a heck of a low ball hitter.
Yeah, because he's opening up anyway, and he can see the ball, and he knows the ball is going to drift back into him. And that's exactly the pitch in the exact location that Creedy hit out the first time up in the first inning. Second inning.
That's in the dirt. 2-1.
Take a look at the location of the pitch that Creedy hit out. He drops down, but he leaves it over the inside part of the plate. And you see Joe opening up. He knows where it's going to be. He knows it's coming back into him, and he got just about every bit of it.
That's into right field. JD is there. 1-2-3 inning for Contreras. And going to the bottom of the third, we are tied at 2. Tied at 2. Tomey, a strikeout victim on a low knuckleball. It'll be Tomey, Dye, and Konerko. Face R.A. Dickey.
Dickey's probably the guy that's going to leave the rotation when Scott Baker comes back.
Well, we certainly hope Scott Baker was not seriously injured, but we certainly don't miss missing him.
No. He's pretty good, and like most of these Minnesota pitchers, he moves the ball around and consistently pounds the strike zone.
Well, Baker against us, he's 0-1, 0-2, 1-2. I mean, you know, he's pitching virtually hitting the count to every hitter.
And facing him and Kevin Slowey, it's almost like facing the same guy. Although tomorrow we're going to take a look at Francisco Liriano.
1-2 the count.
That looked like a ball that Jim Tomey could have hammered because it was a knuckleball that stayed up. He decided instead to take it.
Oh, it sure did. That's outside, full count.
If you're wondering, that glove that Jose Morales is using bends a bit like a first baseman's glove, and it's much bigger than a normal catcher's glove.
And do you know who started that? Who invented that?
I would have to guess B.B. Richards.
You're close. Paul Richards.
Oh, okay.
There's one out. Paul Richards.
Well, I got to learn how to lip read better than that.
But Paul Richards, former manager and general manager of our Sox, who was a catcher and was known as one of the great baseball minds. You know, when you talk about great baseball minds, there was like a small circle of guys. You know, you had an Alvin Dark, who was known as a great baseball mind. You know, Gene Mock was a great baseball mind. Paul Richards was probably the dean of that group, and he decided that he was going to, as JD takes ball 1-1 to count, to make it easier on knuckleballers by having them make a huge catcher's mitt. And since that time, poof, it's become normal. That is a high pop-up. Morneau. He was just drifting with the descent of the ball, and Justin normally very good on those pop-ups. That one, not very good.
Well, that ball kept drifting away from him.
Yeah.
No chance for Casillas because he was playing pretty much up the middle. And that ball kept on drifting. Now, Morneau doesn't have great speed. But as you can see, he comes up about 5-8 feet short of that one.
1-2 pitch. You know, Steve and I were talking so much about our young talent this spring that what we're going to start doing is maybe not every game, but most every game, is that's taken right there to not pull the trigger. We're going to be telling you about these guys throughout the course of the season. There you see it's Charlotte. They lost 9-1. Michael Restovich, who is a different Michael Restovich than most of you know. We saw him in a Minnesota uniform. He had a big, long swing. He has now shortened it up, and he just had a tremendous, impressive spring.
I just have a feeling, Hawk, that it's not going to be a long stay in the minor leagues for Gordon Beckham.
But you saw what Gordon did.
Yes, I did. I saw what he did all spring, too.
You know, we left on Saturday, and Saturday morning I went out early to see them play and against the Mariners in that game on the back fields. And the first time up, he hit one right over the center field wall against a hard-throwing right-hander for the Mariners. Next time up, he comes up, he drills a shot in the right center field for a double off a different guy. He's got a chance to be something special. Birmingham won that game 5-4 in 11 innings, and Gordon, with that 4 for 6, also singled home the game-winning run in the 11th inning.
Well, you had that talk with him during the sponsors and owners weekend down there when he wasn't seeing the ball real well. He's seeing it now pretty well.
Well, the talk we had was certainly nothing about mechanics. There's nothing wrong with this kid mechanically. And Greg Walker and the other guys, they stay away from talking mechanics because he's solid mechanically. The only thing you want to try to do is help him with his approach to it. That ball hit deep in left field. Stretch. He looks up. You can put it on the board. Yes. Paulie with his first homer. And the Sox lead it 3-2.
It looked to me like Dickey decided he was going to try to sneak a fastball by Mr. Konerko. Didn't work out real well. So the Ford replay, and that is a high fastball. And I think Paul Newt was gone when it left the bat. Dickey is not real happy with one, maybe the pitch call, and two, certainly the location.
AJ takes ball one. So Paulie with a double and a run scored last inning, and the homer, his first, right here. And that's hit into left center field. Delman Young making the call on the track right in front of Louis Aparicio, makes the catch, and that'll retire the sides. Sox lead it 3-2.
And our Aflac trivia question with that handsome duck on this date. In 1981, what White Sox player hit his first home run with the team in the season opener?
Right here it'll be Young, Morales, and Punto, lower third of the Minnesota order. I love that duck.
It's a handsome
duck. That's a handsome duck. So here's Young, a strikeout victim. The only strikeout that Contreras has registered going after the first pitch. Josh laying back on it.
White Sox group and party area outings. It's priority seating for your group of 20 or more fans. You can save $1 to half off each ticket depending on the size of your group. In the party areas like the fan deck, warning track, or individual game diamond suite. Place your order today by calling 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com for more details.
Stevie, you saw Josh laying back on that ball right there. He put himself in jeopardy. He could have taken the chance or the opportunity for that ball to take a bad bounce away by coming in one step.
Well, I think what's going to happen, Hawk, is he's going to get more reps down there at third base, and he's going to do it a whole lot better. By waiting back, a couple of things can happen. One, as you say, the bad hop, and two, Young has pretty good speed.
Yeah, if he comes in one step, catches it on the short hop, he takes himself out of that double jeopardy, so to speak.
Well, I talked with Josh about this field as compared to the fields in Arizona, which, as you know, are rock hard because we didn't get any rain. He said he's just going to have to be a little more aggressive on this field.
Those fields in Arizona were rock hard, and yet they're not even in the same category in being fast as that Texas infield.
No, that's something that.
Have you ever seen one fast with grass infield naturally? No. Me either.
And the only time I ever saw a ball shoot through the infield like that was in Colorado. If it's not hit 2 steps from the infielder, it goes through in Texas and Colorado both.
That's poked out, get foul. It's fair ball by Morales on his way to second base, and he will get there. So he has walked and now doubled.
That's Jose Morales' first hit of this season. He got a fork ball, took it off the ground, and just served it down the line. This ball was fair by a pretty good margin. Andy Fletcher on the call.
That swing right there reminded me of Ozzie Guillen when he was playing. Ozzie was one of the best split finger hitter in the league, and he would do exactly what Morales just did: reach out, poke it into left field. Yeah, this is a la Ozzie Guillen right here.
We don't have much choice. You have to go down and you have to protect. And he's just fortunate that it found some grass on the fair side of the line.
Outfield bunched a little bit, swung around to the left, not equidistant. And that's back through the middle. Morales. And they just do get him. So Punto is retired, and Morales had to wait to see if Contreras was going to make the catch.
Yeah, Morales doesn't have much speed, being a catcher anyway. And so what looked like a bad base running play actually isn't, because if it goes back to Contreras, and he didn't miss it by much, they got Morales hung out to dry. As it turned out, Getz turns in his third very good play. I hate the dive to first base. Nick Punto does it all the time. And we talk about it. Fastest people in the world are in the Olympics. And if you could get to the line faster by diving, they would all be diving. But they run through the tape just as you should run through the first base bag unless you're trying to avoid a tag on an errant throw.
Boy, am I glad to hear you say that. I've been arguing that for years. DJ and I used to argue that point. I'm with you 100%.
Well, again, I mean, if you take a look at the fastest men in the world, those are the Olympic sprinters. And they all run right through the tape. None of them take the head first dive.
And the other side of that page also is you can easily jam or break a finger.
It happens a lot.
Yes,
Shoulder, a jam shoulder, a number of injuries you can get from that.
He did not. There's a play right there that Jose is really upset with himself, as he should be. He's sort of short-armed. Now they're going to have Span caught in a pickle, and Alexei will take care of it. Jose really upset with himself. That was just a brain cramp right there. Meanwhile, they tied up, and we are locked up at 3.
White Sox player hit his first home run with the team in the season opener. And there's a look at Carlton Fisk, the Hall of Famer, takes it over the monster.
And I saw that one.
A few others in his career also.
Yep. I remember when Carlton joined us in spring training with the Red Sox in 1969. He was 19 years old. And both Yastrzemski and I had a thing and watched him take some extra batting practice after he'd caught ours. We both agreed that it was a shame because the kid had a lot of desire, but he'd never make it.
And it's that kind of evaluation that served you well throughout these many years.
He's just a big, gangly kid, looked like a newborn colt out there.
You know, he was basically the same size as Joe Mauer. I mean,
yep.
They're big catchers.
Big guys. Now, Carlton used to get beat up behind the plate at that particular point in time because of that reason. Yes. He just occupied so much space behind the plate. The 0-2 pitch. Hard hit, but Casillas got that glove down, kept it there.
I remember pitching to Carlton in the All-Star game, Hawk, and of course he would squat behind home plate and then he would look at the hitter's feet. He would look at his hands. I think he was checking around to see if anything changed. Then he'd look at the dirt. Finally I called him out and I said, I really appreciate everything you're doing for me. Just put down some fingers because I like to work quickly. It's the only time I ever threw to him, and he was quite obviously a terrific catcher.
The best catcher that I ever played against was Bill Freehan from the Tigers. He was one of those guys that you just mentioned that if you make an adjustment on him, he picked it up immediately. You could move a couple inches closer to the plate, maybe 3 or 4 inches off the plate off a left-hander, and he knew exactly then how he was going to pitch it. Unfortunately, I understand that Bill Freehan, as that ball hit hard to the shortstop. So Dwayne Wise is 0 for 2. He went out deep to right field his first trip. And unfortunately, I understand that Bill is suffering from Alzheimer's. What a great player he was.
That's pretty sad because normally your body stays intact and healthy, but obviously the mind is another story.
Chris Getz has walked. Also in his first at bat reached on an error by Delman Young. And a count 0-2.
That was a knuckleball that actually stayed up but still had good enough movement to fool Getz. This stayed up high enough, but the last instant you see it drop just enough.
Three, 5-1 for the Twins. 3-3-1 for our Sox. 2-2. Big hack. That's the one thing you cannot try to do on a knuckleballer is get greedy. Good eye. Full count. Some guys against knuckleballers just don't want to turn the head of the bat over. They just want to keep it just like you were blocking through the swing. And there's a base hit. Yes. So good speed aboard.
And that time Getz went down and got it. He looked a little, although he pulled that ball, like Jose Morales, who just went down and flicked it into left. For Chris Getz, he went down, flicked it into right field. So he keeps the inning alive. And I got to believe that Chris Getz is going to be, Hawk, a better player than just about anybody outside the organization thought he would be this year.
Well, the organization very high Very high on.
Well, that's
yes.
why I said outside the organization, because a lot of people didn't hear a lot about him.
Right.
But he won a big battle at second base in
That's
spring
what
training.
you're going to say. You know, he had a lot of competition out there going into spring training. And one guy who was really looking better at the plate than I anticipated and catching everything before he pulled a couple of muscles, a quad and a hamstring, Jason Nix.
Well, they're still real high on Nix because of his terrific speed and the fact that defensively he's about as good as it gets as far as the Sox is concerned at second base. I'm not sure if the total package is there quite yet, but we'll see when he gets healthy.
So here's Josh, 1 for 2, a big 2-out, 2-run single in the second. Got a 1-0 fastball and hit it into center field.
I think the Twins are going to miss Dennis Reyes. He was their situational left-hander, and apparently he wanted a few too many bucks for the Twins. They let him go. He wound up signing for what the Twins would have signed him for anyway, but he got a 2-year deal.
Double clutch. There's a stolen base.
It's the first time that Sox have been able to take advantage with anybody who can run, because this is an easy combination to run against, and it has nothing to do with Morales. It's just that that glove is so big you can hardly find the baseball, and as you can see, he can't get a grip on it. You reach into that glove, which is probably half again as big as a normal catcher's glove, and sometimes the ball's just not there.
They get 2-strike hitter. Nice block by Morales. Well, I know our hitters are very happy that Dennis Reyes is not in a Minnesota uniform.
He was pretty tough.
You better believe it.
And of course, they lost Pat Neshek against us, and he probably won't be back till the very earliest, the second half of this season.
Well, Reyes against us was just, I mean, he was nasty. Up high. Full count. Ball 4, base hit right here.
Brian Dunsing throwing in the bullpen. He's one of the guys they brought in to take the place of Jose Reyes.
And that's ball 4. So the 4th walk issued by Dickey.
So look at Ron Gardner as he looks out.
You know, those rosy red cheeks.
A little less comfortable than he is in the dome. But quite a manager.
One of the best. One of the best. As here's Carlos. Carlos has walked and grounded out to Creedy. Well, this is, you know, you mentioned Rick Anderson a while ago, which is so true, that he's got to learn about Dickey as he goes, because he's never had a knuckleballer, at least with Minnesota.
True.
Gardenhire's got to learn the same thing. Managing with a knuckleballer is entirely different than what Gardy is used to. And you got to figure that. Get out of here. Popped up. Morales got to play. And drops it. That's that swirling wind.
And he's not familiar with it, because he wasn't around last year. And with the ball coming back toward the field of play, Morales, who's measuring it all the way, when you start drifting with the ball, which is what he does, start drifting backwards, you've got some big problems.
So a reprieve right here for Carlos. And the 1-1 pitch. He just missed that one. Bernard Span. And that'll retire the side. We'll go to the 5th, tied at 3. Fifth inning. Minnesota 5 hits. Sox 4 hits. They have committed 2 errors. We have committed 1.
This could be one of the bigger outs of the game to get the speed ahead of Morneau, Kubel, and possibly Kadire.
Pops it up. AJ got no chance to get there. Well, you're so right, Stone Pony. You put pretty good speed on ahead of those 3 guys. Good chance one of these is going to score.
We drew a base on balls in the first inning and wound up scoring a run. Base hit in the second inning, so he's had a very good night. But the guys coming up behind him are the guys that can do you a lot of damage.
That is a 1-1 count. That ball hit hard in the right center field. Nobody's going to get that one. This little guy can play. Casillas is going to turn it on, and he's going to get into third base easily.
Looks like Casillas got a fastball right down the middle and drilled it into the gap. No chance for Jermaine Dye on this one. You see Span right out of the box was thinking 3 bases. You cannot run yourself into a triple unless you're thinking 3 bases when you leave the batter's box.
So now, second and short. A little short of halfway in the corner. Corner's in close for Morneau. Morneau is grounded to first and grounded back to the pitcher. But Morneau against us in his career in 310 at bats. He's hit 16 home runs and driven in 70 in 310 at bats. There's a base hit, and it's a 4-3 Minnesota lead.
When you bring in the infield at all, you make hitters about 50 points better. Now, if Getz is back on this play, he makes the play. But Contreras doesn't get it in far enough. And Morneau does what he does better than anybody on his team. Drives in a run. That's his 4th of the year.
Especially when you get a big, strong guy like that who's never struck out 100 times in a season.
That's pretty amazing. It's hard to see swings.
Here's Kubel. That RBI single in the first, and he just missed one in the third. High towering drive to right. High pop up. Getz says he'll take it.
Sox fans young and old can hunt for a prize during the Chicago White Sox Charities Easter egg sale on Sunday, April 12th, as the White Sox take on the Twins at 1:05. Purchase a colored egg for $2 before the end of the 4th inning. Eggs will be filled with fun White Sox items or a chance to win autographed memorabilia. All proceeds benefit Chicago White Sox Charities.
Well, Morneau last year dropped down, and there's a strike. In 163 games, he had 623 at bats, and he struck out 85 times.
Sounds like a good leadoff hitter.
Yeah. It's up high by Kadire, who is 0 for 2.
Yep. DJ Carrasco throwing in the bullpen as the pitchers start to pile up on Jose Contreras. The next one he delivers will be pitch number 74.
Good pitch, had good movement on it, and the count 0-2. Joe Creedy on deck. He gone.
That time Jose dropped down sidearm, but took a whole lot off that one. I think Kadire looking fastball all the way. That almost looked like a changeup, a sidearm changeup, because he had Kadire well out in front of it.
So here's Creedy. He has homered to left and gone out to right, lined out to right. Big hack. Got a text message from a great buddy of mine out in Seattle. Says, no more love for Joe. That's done. That's low and away. 1-1 to count to Creedy.
Yeah, I think a lot of the love fest ended with that towering home run back in the second.
Big hack in the count 1-2.
But that looked like the cutter from Jose Contreras, because that ball started on the outer third and finished just off the corner. A real good pitcher's pitch.
That's foul back. In your career, when you were traded from a club and then came back to pitch against that club, was it was it harder on you or easier?
No, it would have been easier, except that I kept on getting traded to the other league. I was with the Giants. They traded me to the White Sox. Then the White Sox traded me to the Cubs, so I was back in the National League. Then became a free agent, came to the White Sox again, and then went to Baltimore. So as far as facing guys I was familiar with, it didn't happen in those days because there was no interleague play. You might have seen him maybe in spring training, but that was about it. When you change leagues, you had to learn a whole new set of hitters. Now it's really not that unusual.
I always thought that the hitter had the best advantage in that scenario. And I didn't, because when I faced guys that I had when I went to Boston from Kansas City, some of those guys who were dear friends of mine at Kansas City, when they pitched against me, I mean, I couldn't hit them with a paddle.
They just have seen you long enough to see all the soft spots?
Well, no, because my attitude changed. I always thought that as that's ball 3, I always thought that the object of hitter and pitcher was for me to really tick off the pitcher as much as I could. And I couldn't do that with my buddies. I was too close with them. But I always thought that was taught when I was playing young. That's what the object was. There is the 3-2 pitch, and that's ball 4. So Morneau waltzes into second base. And that'll bring up Delman Young. Third walk issued by Contreras. Of course, you can't have that same situation today because there's no bench jockeying that goes on today.
Or very little.
Yeah. In years past, there was a ton of it. And that's where you could really get under a pitcher's skin a lot of times, especially young guys. Young is struck out and grounded to third. Off the end of the bat.
They expected a whole lot more power from Delman Young last year. I believe he had a shoulder problem that limited that to just 10 home runs. Because
and those came late.
He's a big, strong guy.
He can hit as far as anybody. Yeah. But those home runs, he went for a long time with none. So that would verify the shoulder problem right there.
You don't have to throw a strike to Young. You can keep this ball out away off the plate, and he usually goes up after it. Also, he will go after the face-high fastball. So you got a choice if you're AJ and which pitch you want to call.
Well, he got a pretty good pitch right there to hit.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Didn't do anything with it.
And to show you it was a mistake, A.J. now is coming out to talk with Contreras. But A.J. wants it low and away, and Contreras gets it up right over the middle of the plate. Unfortunately, Young fouled it straight back.
Yeah, there's a thank you very much pitch.
Now Clayton Richard, the left-hander, has joined DJ Carrasco.
Gap out there in left center. 2 out, 2 on, the 0-2 pitch. He gone. And we are halfway home, trailing 4-3.
Tomey,
who takes it down low, ball 1. All right, Josh Moore, thank you very much, buddy. Tomey has struck out and grounded out to first. They've got a bit of a modified shift on for him. They've got 3 infielders on that side, but they're not deep like most everybody plays in.
Casillas not near as deep as you look at the defense as Tian played it.
Well, Tian played like you commented on. That's the deepest I've ever seen any second baseman play.
And he took what should have been a base hit away from Jim because he was way out there and that ball looked like it was going to fall. Tian went back, made the catch.
That's flared left side. 1-2 the count. .542 home runs. Stay fair. Stay fair. It won't. Right size, wrong shape.
That ball hugged the line for a long time before slicing foul. Had plenty of distance. Andy Fletcher on the call. And you can see it as it slices in front instead of around the pole.
And that's low. So the next pitch will be the 97th. The knuckleballers have an entirely different pitch tolerance. One out.
If you're traveling and can't watch your White Sox on Comcast Sportsnet, you can always catch the game on your computer with MLB.tv. The ultimate baseball experience featuring 100 out-of-market games per week live on your computer. And you can catch those you missed on demand. For more details, visit WhiteSox.com, where baseball is always on.
JD pops it up. Morneau coming on, but that's going to be into the fence right in front of the Minnesota dugout. Remain 0 for 2. He has fouled out to Morneau, and he has struck out, called out. Just tuning in, Twins with 1 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the fourth, 1 in the fifth. Sox with 2 in the second and 1 in the third. 2 home runs in this ball game. One by Joe Creedy leading off the second, and one by Paul Konerko with 2 out in the third. Ball hit hard. Look at the play right there by Punto. Mercy. That is a big league play right there.
Great effort by a shortstop without a huge arm. Punto diving to his right and then realizing he doesn't have enough time to get up, so kind of plants that back foot, rolls it across, and gets it there in plenty of time. This is a terrific effort by the diminutive shortstop. And quickly they're 2 out.
And here is Paul Konerko, who is 2 for 2. A double and run scored in the second and a homer in the third, as I mentioned.
Back in the third inning. After a double the first time up, Paul got a fastball on the inner portion and took it out.
.299. 292 with our Sox. Over the head. This is not going to be any problem for Casillas. And that's an easy inning for Dickey. 1, 2, 3. First time he's done that. And he leads it by 1.
Felco, upcoming schedule. 2 more games with the Twins here, culminating the homestand on Sunday. Then it's off to Detroit for 3 and Tampa Bay for a wraparound series in a 4th game. So a fairly long first road trip awaits the Sox.
Yeah, then there's an off day, and we finish off that trip with 3 in Baltimore.
And Clayton Richard comes into the game. There are the numbers from last year. He's pitched 2 innings this year, and they were perfect. He was brilliant, and he'll have to have more of the same here tonight.
Morales, the switch hitting catcher, goes through that one. He has walked, he has doubled, and he has scored. That's up high. You know, the numbers tomorrow are going to show that Contreras went 5 innings, giving up 4 runs, all earned, 7 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. But if you want to take something positive away from that outing, he threw the ball well. His control is just not where it should be.
And it won't be until he has a few more innings under his belt.
Exactly. So for me, that's a positive outing, even though the numbers don't look like it. Now, if he'd gone out there and thrown the ball poorly and had the same thing, then you got a different evaluation. He threw the ball well. Payoff pitch to Morales. That's not good.
Attention, youth baseball and fast pitch players. This summer you're invited to train the dream at the White Sox week-long summer camps in over 100 Chicagoland communities. Find a summer camp near you at bullsoxacademy.com or call 630-PLAY-BALL.
You don't want to walk the leadoff man, especially when he's the 8th place hitter.
Gardner would not hesitate to hit and run even with a slow running catcher because he trusts Punto to put the bat on the ball.
Takes it up high. Come on, Clayton, you got to throw some strikes, buddy. Well, Gardner loves Nick Punto. He realizes the value he has, and when you get a player like Punto, it just gives the manager a lot of flexibility.
When you put Punto 9th, you look at the speed you have in Punto, and then to the top with Span and Casillas ahead of the guys in the middle who are paid to drive him in.
They got him picked off. And that's what was going to happen right there. Chris will take it himself.
I think it's
no interference. He's going to get second base.
I think he called a balk. We'll see.
Who called it? It had to be Tim McClellan, the first base umpire, I don't think, called it.
We'll watch it again.
He didn't step towards home.
Well, it's called right there. It's called by Tim McClellan.
Yeah.
He's the guy that called it. If you take a look at it from this angle, you'll watch McClellan. He points out. He calls the balk. Whatever happened in the rundown, by the way, it was not a good rundown because he won one throw, not 4. But the end result is that Morales winds up at second base. And for Punto, now he's in the ideal bunt situation. And if you have your choice, you want to bunt it toward third to move along Morales.
Well, I wonder why Tim would call it when Ted Barrett's watching it and he saw that he stepped towards first base. He didn't step towards home. So, I mean, that's going to get the job done by Punto. But you would have thought if anybody was going to call it, it'd be first base umpire.
The only thing I can think of, Hawk, is that he stepped well toward home plate and not first.
I didn't think he stepped that much towards home. I thought he went towards first.
Well, he suspended the leg, and I think that's
what fooled McClellan.
What McClellan was looking at. That could turn out to be a very big play because now the infield has to come in at the cut of the grass at all 4 positions.
I think that's what Ozzie was upset with, too, is the fact that Barrett, as Span can't get it, Barrett was not the one who made the call. A lot of times that home plate umpire cannot see the angle, especially on a good move.
Well, I know that Clayton's been working on his move to first base. Now he just has to work on making sure that nobody calls a balk.
Infield in. And there's a strike. And the count 0-2. Span has an RBI single. He's 1 for 3. Well, Tim McClellan's a good umpire, but right there, that's just a little mystifying. I've seen, as you have too, I've seen left-handers fool the umpires with a good move. And there's this old adage in baseball that a good move is a balk.
A lot of them are.
Yeah.
Especially from a right-hand pitcher.
Yeah, when they break that knee.
You break the back knee. Marichal was a master at it. Rick Sutcliffe in modern day was a master at it.
That's foul.
And that's because good base runners at first base with a right-hand pitcher have to pick a key, and a lot of them will pick either the back or front leg, preferably the back knee, because when they see it bend, then they figure you're going home. So the real good pitchers bend the back knee and then go to first base. It's a balk, but they'll pick you off.
The 1-2 pitch. He gone. Big strikeout for Clayton.
A delayed call, but a strikeout nonetheless. That ball had a great deal of the plate, and fortunately Tim McClellan thought it was high enough, although Denard Span had other ideas.
So here's Casillas. He has been a pain in the derriere tonight. That's high in the left field. Carlos has got the bead. Can of corn. And Clayton pitches out of it. Nothing across. And we'll go to the bottom of the sixth. It is 4-3 Twins.
Is an experience unlike any other. The Chicago White Sox offer a range of premium seating options like the Jim Beam Club or the new LG Skyline Club. Exclusive amenities and benefits include former player visits and autograph signings, menus provided by Levy Restaurants, personalized service, and much more. For more information on the 2009 premium seating, call 312-674-1000 or email premiumseating@whitesox.mlb.com. And Brian Dunsing making his major league debut. See, last year used primarily as a starting pitcher where he didn't fare particularly well. But in need of a situational left-hander, the Twins go to one of their own, drafted in the third round of the 2005 draft.
Well, we already know one thing about him without having seen him. He's probably going to throw strikes.
Well, you usually don't get up through their system unless you throw strikes.
That's exactly right. You don't come to the big club unless you can throw strikes. Yes, he did, says Andy Fletcher at third.
Last couple of years for Dunsing, both at Rochester, he walked just 34 in 138 innings, and the year before just 30 in 116 innings.
Shanks it, and the count 0-2.
Matt Guerrier loosening up in the bullpen in case Dunsing has some problems.
That's chop foul. Well, the one guy who's pitching in the American League today that there's always you got choices in this game, and there's always a guy who defies logic or baseball logic. Is there's a little chopper. Punto's got. He got plenty of time. 1 out. And that guy is Matsusaka. He walks guys. He
gives up a lot of hits and it seems like he's always in a stretch.
And they don't score.
He had some trouble with the Tampa Bay Rays last time out. However, all things being equal, he's a guy that knows how to get people out and would just as soon get him out of the strike zone.
That's it. That's why managers have to start. Instead of all saying, you got to know your own, what your players can do, but most importantly, what they can't do. You get guys who walk guys and they can't get them out, the other hitters out. They don't stick around very long.
That was a good straight change by Dunsing, and this would be an exceptional time for the first hit this year for Alexi Ramirez, who did walk and score a run back in the second inning.
A little tardy on that fastball. And as usual, 90% of the time, the guy will throw you a good straight change, and he'll come back with a fastball. The other 10, it seems like he'll double you up with that change.
Well, there was a 10-mile disparity between the two. You can understand where Alexi would be a little late. He saw an 81-mile-an-hour straight change and then a 91-mile-an-hour high fastball.
Fouls. Tom Seaver, when he was with us, we were talking about that. He said that he and Jerry Kuzman one year with the Mets, they decided they were going to find out or try to come up with the perfect differential between the fastball and the change. And they charted it for half a year. Half a year. And the perfect differential they came up with was 11 miles. So, 11 miles.
He's close.
Yeah.
And I always felt the same way because throwing the curveball as I did, I wanted just under 20. 18, 17 mile an hour difference between my regular curveball and my fastball.
That fastball popped up middle of the diamond. Punto. You wanted 17 to 20 variance?
Yeah, I felt, Hawk, that I wanted to throw it hard enough so that they couldn't double clutch, and soft enough where if they were sitting on it, they would still be out in front of it. And throwing 3 different speeds, which was the real slow one that you seen to get me over, and then a wipeout pitch that you very rarely threw for strikes, but you threw it in the dirt when you had 2 strikes on the hitter. It made it 3 different pitches with the same pitch.
He almost turned into that one in yet a strike.
Now Wise is 0 for 2 tonight, but he's hit the ball well. These are 2 of his better at-bats of the year, and that's a sign that a hitter is going to break out of it.
Took that pitch nicely, and the count 1-1. There's his first base hit. Reaches out, just pokes it into the gap. So he's on the board. 2-out single.
Getting a base hit against a left-hand pitcher might bode well for Wise and his ability to stay in the lineup against the lefties. He had a good swing on this. Hit it hard enough to easily get it through the right side. So the first 2 at-bats were a tip-off that the third time would be the charm.
Well, as you mentioned, this is the best at-bats he's had all, since the season started.
And you talked about the same thing when you talked about Ozzie and his evaluation of a player. Hawk, it's not necessarily the result, but the quality of the at-bat. Right. You can have good at-bats and bad end result.
Yeah, Ozzie doesn't look for the result. He looks for the quality of the at-bat. And that's what good baseball people do. I mean, you know, if you look at the numbers, sometimes you'll see where a guy hits, you know, 240, 250, and he's hit the ball like a 300 hitter. He's just hit, you know, hard shots, swung the bat well, had quality at bats, just come up empty. And you see other guys who are hitting 270, 280, who you can't believe, well, they get him picked off. Good strong throw as Morneau came out, got the angle. And that'll retire the side. We're into the 7th, 4-3 bad guys.
Nightly on Sport Night presented by Dex. Coming up tonight after the Sox postgame live. This day in Chicago sports history, plus continued coverage of the Blackhawks and Bulls push for the playoffs. So join Josh Moore and Pat Boyle for Sports Night live.
First pitch lown away to Justin Morneau, who is 1 for 3 with an RBI. Clayton Richard. There's the strike.
Let's take a look at the pickoff, and it's a thought process rather than the execution. Good play on the part of the Twins, but from Dwayne Wise's perspective, he's never seen the move of Dunsing. And so what you want to do is get a one-way lead, meaning you get a lead with the thought of going back to first base and forcing the pitcher to show you his best move. His best move cost Wise an out.
That ball deep in the left field. Quinton just looks up, and it is a 5-3 Minnesota lead.
Home run number 2, RBI number 5, and his second run batted in tonight. So for Ron Gardner, who played a hunch in moving Morneau up to the 3 spot instead of his familiar 4th spot, it pays dividends, and that's a high fastball. Our Ford home run replay. Morneau shows you just how strong he is going the opposite way.
Yeah, when he hits a solid, it doesn't make any difference if you're here in Grand Canyon. Kubel takes ball 3. Come back and get him. You don't want to walk anybody right now.
Well, here's a chance where you might turn Kubel loose on 3-0. Didn't matter. It took ball 4. Here comes Ozzie, and that's going to be it for Clayton Richard as Ozzie points to the pen. And the night is done for the young left-hander.
All right. Clayton Richard will depart. Mike McDougal comes on at. We'll be back.
There's opening week and Cubs Series tickets, leaving the rest up to you. Starting as low as $205 per seat, the Ozzie plan is a flexible 13-game ticket package. Prices vary depending on selected seat category and game choices. For details, visit whitesox.com or call 312-674-1000 to speak with a ticket sales representative. And Mike McDougall comes into the game in relief of Clayton Richard. He inherits Kubel at first base. Nobody out here in the 7th inning. And a 2-run deficit to these very pesky Twins.
Well, after game 163 last year, I'm sure there's a little payback in their mind.
Well, they had a tough series at home, and they split it with Seattle, which is not a good club.
Well, they were lucky to win that one game.
Yeah.
Yes, here's Kadire. But as I said, you know, they asked me for, some of the writers asked me my predictions. And it's just hard to say. I think we're going to win this thing over here. But the team that I worry most about are the Minnesota Twins. That's up high, and the count 2-0. We were talking about the first series when we win a game 4-2, we lose a game 2-1, and we lose a game 2-0. Well, if you continue to get those kind of losses, a lot of times it's not so much what you win, but how you lose. And if we do that, that will tell you that our pitching is probably, hopefully, going to hold up. If we do that through April and May. And if that's the case, we will win this division. Because our club will hit. As there's ball 4. So back-to-back walks. Clayton Richard to Kubel. Now McDougall to Kadire. And here's Creedy. A homer, a line out to right, and a walk.
And he's a good man for 2. If McDougall can get that slider over, Joe's going to roll over it, hit it to the left side. He doesn't run all that well.
Outfield spread out, about equidistant. As AJ can't get now, does not have a shot. So there's a wild pitch.
This changes the inning completely.
Yeah, it does.
McDougall took that slider right into the dirt. No chance at all for AJ. Fortunately, both runners didn't move up.
Breaking ball high, and the count 2-0. And here comes Coop. One of the things that last year when Mike was with us is that every time he tried to strike out somebody and there was a man on third, there was a heck of a chance it was going to be a wild pitch.
He just has so many moving parts that it's really difficult to repeat the same motion. His head flies one way. Takes a while for his body to catch up. He has more confidence getting his slider over the plate than his fastball, but this particular performance, he hasn't gotten the slider over the plate.
Well, you know, 25,422, a wonderful crowd on a cold night. Three consecutive walks, 2 by McDougall, and that'll load him up with nobody out, and here comes Oz. So Ozzie will take the ball. DJ comes on, and we'll be back.
styles. One team a power team, the Sox. The other team a speed team, the Twins. And last season, with infield hits, the Twins had the most, and the Sox, not surprisingly, had the fewest. So teams can be successful a lot of different ways. Minnesota usually is much more effective in their dome because of their speed. But they're having a pretty good night tonight, largely because of lack of control of the Sox pitchers.
Delvin Young, big hack. Which of those categories had you rather have as a pitcher? The most home runs or the most infield hits?
As a pitcher for my team?
Yeah.
I think in this ballpark you have to have the home runs, but it would help if your speed guys would start getting on base. And so I don't think this White Sox team is ever going to come close to leading the league in infield hits because of the guys you have in the middle. But a better blend would be nice. You can't live and die with the home run consistently, and you know, just under 50% of the runs last year came via the home run.
For me, I'd rather have the speed, and because that translates also to better defense.
Yeah, I was going to say it shows up on defense and certainly helps a pitcher.
Yeah, it's great it's great when the guys are hitting home runs, but all of a sudden you get this good pitching. You're not going to hit many home runs, but you can run every day.
Well, that also goes, Hawk, with the idea about don't tell me what you hit, tell me when you hit it. And you can take a look at a hitter's batting average from the 7th inning on. It really doesn't matter what he does at the beginning of the game most of the time.
Well, last year we hit 235 home runs to lead the major leagues.
Yes.
As here's the 0-2 pitch, and that's a base hit. Infield in, makes the guy, as we talked about, a much better hitter, and it's now a 7-3 lead. Still nobody out. But we hit 235 home runs last year. They hit 111. So we hit well over twice as many as they did, and yet we played game 163 against Minnesota.
Gomez is now taken over at first base. He will undoubtedly come into the game to patrol center field. He has tremendous speed and acquired from the New York Mets. That was a tremendous addition to their team because he can get them alley to alley any ballpark he plays in.
And there's a base hit. They're going to hold Greedy at third, so Morales is now 2 for 2, 2 walks, a double, this single, and a run scored.
Both Young and Morales came into this game without a hit or a run batted in. They both had pretty decent nights.
So here's Punto. It's popped to right. Twice he is grounded to second. Takes first pitch strike. 7-10-2 for Minnesota. 3-5-1 for our Sox. Well, you know, when you said you would prefer a better blend, well, that's exactly what Kenny and Ozzie tried to do this winter in their preparation for this season.
Well, this is a faster team, but right now Ramirez is scuffling. He's a guy who can steal a base for you.
And there's a base hit. That's going to score a couple more. And it's 9-3. Still nobody out.
First 2 runs driven in this year by Punto. And the Twins, as they so often do, don't overswing. Carrasco got the ball up higher than he'd wanted. Punto turned around to hit from the left side. just drives it down the line.
Span takes ball 1.
Well, with nobody loosening up in the bullpen, this is one where DJ is going to have to take it for the club. He's going to have to get out of this inning himself.
And there's a base hit. It is now 10-3. Span now 2 for 5, 2 RBIs.
Don Cooper out to the mound to talk with DJ Carrasco. He's just getting pitches up. And this Twin team, because most of the guys don't have big power, they just look to make contact. And right now, everything is falling.
So here's Casillas. He has had quite a night. A walk in the first, he scored. Infield single in the second. Then a leadoff triple in the fifth, and he scored.
He's a ninth man to come to bat, and the Sox have yet to retire anybody.
Leadoff homer by Morneau, the opposite field. Then the walk to Cooper. McDougal comes on. He walks the 2 hitters he faced. They both have scored. Yeah, to me, the game is cyclical, and it has been. It's been interesting for me to be privileged enough to be in it for so long, to watch the evolution of the way it is now versus it was 20 years ago versus it was. There's a base hit. They're going to hold a runner, so once again bases loaded, nobody out. But to see how it was 20 years ago, how it was 40 years ago, how it was 50 years ago. And as much as you see what's happening, each and every year I get more inclined to go with speed, speed, and speed.
Well, you see a different game nowadays. I mean,
exactly right.
For a number of different reasons.
That ball hit deep into left field. Carlos is there. Everybody's tagging. Carlos will get it back into third. And it's 11-0. But we have an out.
That's the third run batted in for Justin Morneau.
And here's Kubel. He's 1 for 3. After Morneau's leadoff homer, he started off this barrage right here with the walk. And that's into right field. JD is there. And that is out number 2. So 2 down.
Well, this isn't a typical offensive explosion on the road for the Twins, but it's typically how they play. They've hit 2 solo home runs. And the other 9 runs have come via walks, singles, a double, and a triple.
First pitch strike to Kadire. He walked earlier this inning, so he is 0 for 3 tonight. First of a 3-game set tomorrow afternoon. It'll be Bartolo Colon against Francisco Liriano in the finale of this series and this homestand. On Sunday, Mark Burley against Nick Blackburn. The game tomorrow on Fox, the game on Sunday right back here on Comcast Sportsnet. Drop down, and that's going to take Josh Fields. Little peg, and that'll do it. So it mercifully becomes the 3rd out of this inning. They put a big 7 spot on the board. 7th inning stretch, not good.
So the Twins, Span has moved to left field. Gomez stays in the game in center, and Dunsing is still on the mound.
And Brent Lillibridge is hitting for Getz. Chris had a good game tonight. He went 1 for 2 with a walk, stolen base. As that ball hit into center field. That's pretty deep. But it's got to be over the fence to get away from that guy.
He probably covers as much ground as anybody in either league. And he's just learning how to do it.
Well, for me, Gomez covers as much ground as anybody I have ever seen play center field. And the guy who covered it the most prior to him was Mickey Mantle, who was the fastest guy I've ever seen. Gomez 6'4", 195 pounds. As that ball hit him. I don't know about the National League, but he's the fastest guy in this league. So Josh, who was 1 for 2 with 2 big RBIs, a big 2-out single back in the second. He also was walked, now hit by a pitch. Gomez to me is the next Ricky Henderson.
Well, I think he's going to be just an outstanding player. Just a question of learning the strike zone, getting a command of what the pitcher's trying to do to you. But as far as tools are concerned, his are as good as anybody. That
ball hit high and deep. Stretch. Stretch, get on back there. He jumps, you can put it on the board, yes! First homer for Carlos Quinton. And it's 11-5.
That was a towering home run. We told you that the ball was hanging up in right, but it was carrying down the line into straightaway left field. And the Ford home run replay is a titanic home run off the bat of Carlos Quinton.
Here's Jim Thome. He's 0 for 3.
And he's now driven in 2 with that home run.
11, 13, and 2 for them. 5, 6, and 1 for us. And that's shank foul, and the count will 1-2. And of course, with these home runs tonight by Paul Konerko and Carlos Quinton, the Alex Nellius family will donate $100 to White Sox charities for every Sox homer hit throughout the course of the season. That is numbers 2 and 3, so $300 donated by Alex Nellius in loving memory of Ursula. And that is out number 2.
Brian Anderson will come on to pinch hit, so he takes the spot formerly occupied by Jermaine Dye.
So Brent Lillibridge, who let it all fly deep to center, his first American League at bat. He had 80 at bats in the National League with Atlanta. And here's B.A. Takes a strike. When he won the count. And it's 2-1. Yeah, this has been one of those nights, Steve, that if you're just tuning in, Contreras threw the ball well. He just didn't have as good control. Because that's chop foul.
Then the bullpen had all kinds of problems getting the ball over the plate,
Right.
because if the bullpen holds them right there, we always talk about the importance of the first man out of the bullpen and what he can do to the momentum of the game. Richard's first outing, he pitched 2 perfect innings and stopped Kansas City right there. Tonight he just didn't have it.
As Ryan goes down, but a 2-run homer by Carlos Quinton, and it's 11-5 Twins. 11-13-2 for Minnesota, 5-6-1 for our guys. But to go on and continue with that conversation, we were talking about the control. Contreras threw the ball well. He just didn't have the sharp control. And as you mentioned, all that take care of that is innings. You see that Brian Anderson has moved into right and Lillibridge in the second. And then the bullpen comes out, and you mentioned the first man out. Boy, don't you. That position just continues to grow and grow and grow in importance, doesn't it?
Well, it does, because you can either stop the opposition and allow your offense to come back, and we've seen the Sox come back in this one, or you can either have not real good stuff on a given night. It wasn't a question of that as much as a question that Richard and McDougal had all kinds of problems getting the ball over the plate. McDougal only faced two men, walked them both. They both scored. And other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how'd you like to play?
Well, you know, it's not just the walks. It's besides that, your control's not good. You can make some cookies up there. As Creedy takes first pitch strike.
And Ozzie knows that we're playing 10 games in a row, so this is a take one for the club for Carrasco.
Yeah. High pop up by Creedy. He got a cookie right there. I'll tell you, watching Joe run, he is running well, and watching his facial expressions and his body language, which Joe, you can read him pretty well. He looks good.
Well, he wouldn't have played in 4 straight, including a day game after a night game on the artificial surface, unless he was 100%. And you got to give him a whole lot of credit for hustle there, because if that ball was dropped, he's standing on second base.
First pitch strike. Carlos Gomez, one of the most exciting young players in the game. He's got good power. That ball is hit down. Boy, he's got those long strides.
And although it's painful to watch if we're losing the game in Minnesota, when he hits a ball in the gap and turns it on, going from first to third on a triple, those strides and the fact that he is astonishingly fast.
Well, he's exciting to watch. I mean, there they shot. Lillibridge makes the catch. So Morales, who is swinging the bat well tonight, that's a 1-2-3 inning, and we still trail by 6.
For U.S. Cellular White Sox postgame live, you'll see all the highlights, get Bill Melton's expert analysis, plus listen in on Ozzie Guillen's postgame remarks. Don't miss U.S. Cellular White Sox postgame live immediately following the game right here on Comcast Sportsnet, fans' best friend. And the White Sox dodge drives of the game. Paul Konerko got a high fastball from a knuckleball pitcher. Took it out of the park. Carlos Quinn with the first home run of the year, a towering 2-run blast.
That's high into left field. Span back at the Comcast Sportsnet sign, hauls it in. He just missed it. Oh, he also had that double back in the second.
Ball swinging the bat real well, and he gets a high fastball just a touch higher than he would have liked. Taking Span all the way back to the track with about 2 feet to spare, he makes the catch.
Here's AJ. He's 0 for 3. Well, you know, you always try to look for something positive in each and every game. Obviously, in the Kansas City, the positive was the pitching, and also the play of Chris Getz at second base. A couple beautiful, brilliant plays down at third by Josh Fields. And if there's a positive to this game, we got some of our big guys swinging the bat better than they certainly did in the first 3.
And another factor is Getz continued his remarkable play at second base. He made 2 excellent efforts tonight.
Well, he's going to be fine. Yeah. He's solid. If Chris Getz was the only thing we had to worry about, we're in good shape.
There's a look at Joe Nathan loosening up in the bullpen.
Second baseman sucks it up. 2 down.
That was not Joe Nathan. That was Philip Humbert.
So here is Alexi. Takes ball 1. Alexi is 0 for 2 tonight with a walk and a run scored. He is also looking for his first hit of the season. Count evens at 1. We mentioned tomorrow that is a 3:05 start on Fox. Bartolo Colon against Francisco Liriano. That's popped up right side. He's fighting that wind, makes the catch, stays right with it in a 1-2-3 inning. We're into the 9th, trailing 11-5.
Now, don't miss your chance to get the best seats available for the April matchups against the Twins, the Blue Jays, and the Mariners. To purchase your 2009 individual game tickets, call 866-SOX-GAME or visit whitesox.com.
Nick Punto takes first pitch strike. DJ Carrasco. 11-5 Minnesota on top. And there's a looper, and the ball's going to fall for a base hit. Punto now 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run scored. You know, Ozzie was right. He truly is a piranha.
I think, Hog, if you take a look at that hit, it kind of typifies the Minnesota Twins. An opposite field looper just in front of the outfield, not far enough to get there. And then, like years ago when St. Louis had one beast and the rest fleas, it's very similar to this lineup with Morneau as the beast.
And there's a base hit by Span. That's his 3rd hit of the game. He's 3 for 6. Yeah, they do just enough to get those hits that just absolutely gives you the red behind, you know.
You'd like to see a few of them go far enough to get to the outfielder. They just don't seem to very often. And the Twins, who were scuffling for some runs at home, have broken out with 15 hits tonight.
And here's Casillas. He has 3 of those. He's 3 for 4. Well, you know, Minnesota, when you talk about, you know, all the duck snorts they have and the soft wrist, they love it. I mean, they adore it because that's their style. And, you know, the greatest compliment you can be paid is when some other guy on the opposition is, you know what, you're the luckiest son of a gun. That's the greatest compliment somebody can pay you.
Well, year after year, they're right in the middle of the race. The question is, will this kind of baseball team be the kind they assemble when they move to the outdoor ballpark?
Goes to first to get the out. That's an interesting question that a lot of people are asking themselves or other people. Is it's going to be the same kind of ball club where they don't lead the league in infield hits.
No, they're not going to get near as many choppers, and you wonder if they can do it with a scarcity of power. They've got a few power hitters on this team, but not the big power that many of the American League teams have.
Well, Mauer might lead the league in hitting, but he's not going to hit a lot of home runs. He could if he wanted to, but he's not. He's going to lead the league in hitting.
Well, his natural stroke really is to left center field anyway,
right.
And he takes it right back up the middle. He's just a tough out.
Well, you know, Kansas City last year hit 9 more home runs than these guys. Kansas City had 120, and these guys had 111 last year. Ground ball. The run is going to score, and it's 12-5. Morneau now with a homer and 4 RBIs on the evening. And that's not unlike some people. Well, you got a problem with the leadoff hitter. You got a problem with center field, all that stuff. This club, Steve and I have discussed this. We did in spring training. We're both in agreement that you don't have to have all 4 strong up the middle to win a divisional title. It doesn't have to be that way. So it's going to be interesting. The reason I brought that point up was about these guys moving to the grass after this year. You got to figure that they're going to make the adjustment. They always have.
Well, I think it has to do a lot with the way the ballpark is going to play, and of course we haven't seen it. We don't know the dimensions.
Knocked us down. No, nice play. And that'll retire the side. They come up with 1. We'll go to the bottom of the 9th. We need 7 to top.
Stand wraps up with an Easter Sunday showdown as Jim Thome and the Sox battled Joe Creedy and the Twins. Coverage starts with Feldco White Sox pregame live, and then it's the Sox and Twins in HD. That's Sunday at 12:30 right here on Comcast Sportsnet, fans' best friend. Philip Humber comes into the game. Humber at 6'4", 225. Last year just briefly with Minnesota, spent most of the year at Rochester. He was here just for 5 games.
Dwayne Wise will lead it off against the tall, lanky right-hander. Outfield, they are spread out fairly deep and swung around slightly to the left. Is Dwayne Wise 1 for 3. He swung the bat well tonight. Just missed one in the second inning. Hit the ball hard to the shortstop in the fourth. And picked up that single in the hole between first and second in the sixth.
Humber originally came up with the New York Mets, where for a while he was one of their coveted prospects. He came over in a trade February 2nd of last year.
Not hit hard off Humber, and that's going to be a base hit. The Wise comes up with his second. He's 2 for 4.
Well, with Casillas having to go up the middle thinking this ball was going to get by Humber, there's no chance after the deflection that anybody can get to first base. Morneau has to field it, and after that, Ted Barrett is the closest guy to the play, and nobody's going to flip him the ball.
So here's Lillibridge in his first at bat, which was in the 7th inning, hitting for Chris Getz, who was 1 for 2 with a stolen base and a couple of beautiful plays tonight. Lillibridge went out deep to center field. And if you're just tuning in, we mentioned the minor league report earlier. Gordon Beckham went 4 for 6 last night. He drove in the winning run in the 11th. But the reason they got to extra innings because C.J. Relaford homered in the bottom of the 9th to tie it up.
That's your guy, C.J. No, you took me down there to take a look at him. He's diminutive, but apparently he's got a little pop in the bat.
Yes, he does. Birmingham is not a good home run hitter's ballpark.
No, and I don't know how tough that league is going to be, but the Birmingham Barons are going to be very tough.
That's going foul. That gummit. Yeah, it's going to be fun following them all season long. And as we mentioned, also, if you're just tuning in, we're going to be covering the minor leagues because we have so many good-looking young players down there for you and letting you know what's going on with them. Viciedo went 1 for 5 last night. Tyler Flowers hitting third in that lineup. The catcher with enormous power went 1 for. That's fouled back. 1 for 4. And John Shelby the third playing center field. He's got a chance. He can do a lot of good things. He was 2 for 5. The 1-2 pitch. And that's out number 1.
That time Lillibridge tried to check his swing, but Tim McClellan knew that he went around too far.
And the next time we're going to be with you right here on Comcast Sportsnet will be Sunday, the finale of this opening homestand. And that'll be Mark Burley against Nick Blackburn right here over Comcast Sportsnet. Then it's off to Comerica Park in Detroit for that 3-game set. That's backing out of play by Wilson Betterman.
I would think we'd see one of the youngest pitching prospects in all of baseball, and Rick Porcello. Young man throws in the high 90s. He's going to second game, and he throws about a 93 or 94 mile an hour sinker.
Well, he's got his hands full because he's going against Johnny Danks.
It's going to be a good matchup.
That ball right through the wickets. The Wise into second base in the first game of that 3-game series. It'll be Gavin Ford against Zach Miner.
3-day games, by the way, that series in Detroit.
Yeah. And then Johnny Danks on Tuesday against Rick Porcello. Then on Wednesday, Contreras against Armando Galarraga.
Galarraga had a nice year for them last year. But he was the guy you might remember that came into the game late against us and gave it up.
1-2 the count to Betterman. Then we go to Tampa Bay for 4. Thursday, Friday, Saturday a night game. Sunday is day game. Then we go to Baltimore from there on Sunday evening. Have an off day. Take on the Orioles for 3 before returning home. I know one thing. Our guys are, it's easier to make contact in cold weather if you're a line drive type hitter. It's the big guys, the home run hitters, who have trouble sometimes getting it cranked up in cold weather.
Well, tonight, one of the real positive signs was that Paul Konerko was swinging the bat as well as he was swinging it.
Very well. Very well. Carlos Quinton with his first homer of the season. Betterman gets hit on the fist. Creedy giving chase. He's staying right with it, and he's going to make the catch. So 2 down. So here's Carlos. 1 for 3, that 2-run homer in the 7th. The high towering, as George Hoffman would say, a high towering line drive.
It was all of that and more.
Outfield deep. Minnesota is able to, and will do, give you the biggest gaps of any outfield in the American League. And the reason being is that guy in center field.
Well, he didn't start the game. He most likely will start the game tomorrow. And that's Carlos Gomez with just outstanding speed.
That's up high, 2-1. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 out here in the first of this series against the Twinkies.
You figure getting R.A. Dickey, who's their number 5 starter and only their 5 starter until Baker comes back, would be very much of an advantage. But he threw the ball well enough, especially with the offensive onslaught of the Twins. You don't expect them to score 12. The Sox normally, this time of year in this ballpark, they score 5 runs. And you can put that game in the win column, but not tonight.
The 2-2 pitch. So a full count with Jim Thome on deck. Ball four, base hit right here, Carlos. Top of right side, and this'll do it. This ball game is over. So the Twins come out, take the Sox down. This makes it 3 in a row now. They won the first opening game of the season against Kansas City, lost the next two, lose this one by a score of 12-5. And again, the positive thing about this tonight,